just a tiny bit of rust right there.
Today we're taking out this W56 transmission from this Toyota truck.
Wow, that right there's a big chunk of metal.
In the first video of this series, we bought a 1987 Toyota pickup from a reputable dealership in Texas. And this thing wasn't cheap. It was $19,250 before taxes and registration. Ouch. The dealer assured me that both the engine and transmission had both been rebuilt and had 7,500 miles on them and everything worked as it should. Well, that definitely was not the case, because as soon as I drove it off, it was obvious that this transmission had some serious issues, and this truck quickly became the worst car deal I have ever made, by far. And if you want to watch that experience, well, there's a video that we made going through the entire purchasing process, and it's a little too painful for me to watch, but maybe you'll get a kick out of it. But today, it's time to start tearing into this truck that was not supposed to be a project, and find out if this transmission actually has 7,500 miles and maybe had a premature failure, or maybe I just got swindled that bad. No matter what, we are still gonna make this truck a sweet classic overland rig, so stick around to watch this truck get transformed. Well, today is the day we finally get to tear into this 1987 Toyota pickup. I'm super excited because I've been working behind a computer for the last several months, way too much, and this is the first time that I'm actually gonna get to turn a wrench in a while. So super excited about that. It's a sunny day outside. It hasn't been sunny out here in a while. It's just been gloomy and rainy, and we've gotten like 25 inches of rain over the past month. It's been insane up here. Anyway, today to get started on this thing, we have kind of multiple projects and some things need to start right now. So we're gonna be taking out the transmission, we're gonna be taking out the dash to be able to send it off for repair. We're gonna kind of get started with some of the interior, and then we're gonna get this thing up on jacks, get the tires off, and get started with some of these projects to turn this classic Toyota into a really cool little overlanding rig. So yeah, let's jump into it. So I think the first thing that I'm gonna take out is the seats, because then I can get in here and work with the transmission a little easier and stuff like that. We need to take the seats out anyway because we're gonna be replacing the carpet. So yeah, let's get these guys out. Oh, that's kind of weird. I actually don't see a plug for this anywhere. It just runs through this busted up seatbelt. Ah, there it is. There's always a plug. I'm still kind of surprised though that 1987 they had seatbelt alarms in these things. Well, I think I might as well just go ahead and pull the carpet too since I'm in here. All right, so this is a one-owner truck. There's only one guy that's owned this since 1987. He's definitely, I believe he's replaced the carpet. It looks like it's in two pieces here. Finding a lot of Velcro and stuff like that. But this is the moment that we actually get to see what the true condition of this thing looks like rust-wise, because rust will usually be up in these floor panels and you can't really tell if it's not showing from the bottom. You have to get under the floors to see. But I also want to see, he has all these old school amplifiers and speaker systems stuff back here. And I'm really curious to see what the wiring situation looks like. I'll definitely say there's a lot of wiring underneath here. Looks like it's all sound system stuff, but it's definitely pretty messy. We are gonna find out what that is right there, but that looks like a security system. LED siren output. Look at that, overall super clean. I don't see any rust on this thing. Yeah, maybe some signs up here a little bit. I mean, seriously though, like this is nothing for a old Toyota like this. Okay, overall still pretty clean. It's nice when you already spent a bunch of money on a vehicle and there's already stuff wrong and you're already disappointed, then to take the floors up and find that there's no rust. I'll take that, that's a win. All right, I lied.
You know, just a tiny bit of rust right there. Even then, it doesn't look bad.
Take our shifter boots off.
So something kind of interesting here. This piece I thought was glued on, and whatever it is, it's pretty brittle. under there, this is raw metal right here. This is not painted. Something kind of interesting here is that they painted over this. I don't know, something that I feel like doesn't really live up to the Toyota legend. I feel like this stuff should be painted. Maybe there's a reason for that that I don't know about. All right, now that it's cleaned out in here, I think I'm gonna get started with taking this transmission out and getting that whole underside clear. And I'm gonna keep the body lift on because it'll make it way easier to work with that transmission. And when we go in to do our suspension, there's just gonna be more room under there. So we'll get it out of here now. So this transmission right here is a W56. This transmission is supposed to have 7,500 miles on it, but it is grinding in second gear. So yeah, I'm gonna be taking this thing out, and we got a brand new transmission from Marlin Crawler. So we're gonna be sticking that in here. All right, first thing, drive shafts. We got a 14 mil and we also need a 14 mil on the back. Man, those things are tight. You know, I was wondering why there was dents in the muffler right here. I think I know why. Gotta go put it in gear. That's the back of our transfer case. Now we just need to get to those bolts. Turn this thing over, put it in four-wheel drive, turn it over, four-wheel drive, turn it over, engage four-wheel drive. Man, I really forgot how much I just enjoy turning wrenches. This stuff's fun. So I think I found a better way to do this. Sticking a ratcheting wrench over here, and then on the other side, doing a wrench. There just wasn't the proper angle to get that bolt out over here. Unless maybe I disconnected the front first and lifted up the drive shaft. That probably would have done it too. But I'm just gonna go with the first way. All right, so we got our double cardan loose. And now we're just gonna remove the sway bar since it's already in the way of not only the front drive shaft, but also the transmission when we go to drop it. This is also when we can look at sway bar bushings and say, yep, those need to be replaced. There it is. So you got top bushing, got one of these metal pieces here. But look at how rotted that sway bar bushing is right there. I'm gonna replace these. I'll just go ahead and add that onto the list. All right, sway bar's out. Oh, this thing's disconnected. It just doesn't want to come out yet. I do actually think it's just that tight. Yep, it was definitely just that tight. All right, now we got our front and rear drive shafts out. So what's next? All right, we may as well go ahead and drain the transmission hose down here, and we're getting close to that time. So this is a 24, I believe is what fits this one. Yes, sir. Well, that's tight. Yep, we did break it free. Cool. Oh man, I thought for a second that we stripped it. So let's see what type of oil we're gonna get with this. If it has 7,500 miles on it, it should still be decently cleaned. Oh yeah. It has a magnetic drain plug. That tells you all you need to know. Look at that. Oh my gosh. There's some carnage in this thing. Just look at that sludge. Let's get that onto a towel here. Not ideal. Not ideal at all. Oh my gosh, there's so much in here. I'm trying to show you guys just how glittery that is. There's some chunks in here. Wow. That right there's a big chunk of metal. Try to get a focus here. You see that? That's chunk metal. Yep, I would not trust any bearings inside of that transmission. Not with this type of stuff coming through there. And even the side of the drain plug here. Look how much material that we got in there. That's crazy. Never had that much glitter in a transmission before in my life. The drain plug is a lot better on this one. And the fluid looks a lot cleaner. All right, now there's just a few things I need to remove from the transmission. By the way, this is one of our headlamps right here that we sell in our store. Pick one of these things up if you want to help support this build. This thing has an 18650 lithium ion battery. It's a USB-C rechargeable. It's actually super cool. It's definitely one of my favorite things that I have on the store right now. So we got our speedo right there. We got what I think is a reverse light back there and a plug for it. This one right here, I'm not quite sure what this guy is. Maybe you guys know in the comments. And we got our slave cylinder right there. And I think I'm also gonna have to take out the starter on this one. There we go, there's our speedometer. Let's place that right up there. Well, I can already see a problem right there. I don't know if you guys can, but that little seal dash boot has failed. To get the starter bolts, I'm gonna use this guy again, and that should get me access to them. They're 214 millimeters. Oh, I might need a longer extension. All right, so it's the next day, and I finally caved. I'm gonna jack the truck up because I just want some more working room in there. Got the same clothes on. You guys know when you start getting it dirty, top layers are for 2 days. It's kind of nice to have a little bit more space in here now. So we only have a few things left on this transmission. This thing has a lot of little bell housing bolts. So there's ones up here that are easily accessible, and then there's ones from the other side of the bell housing, the motor side. And then we gotta get way up in there and get some top bell housing bolts out. And this is probably the only time that I think I'm actually thankful for a body lift. Now that the starter's out of the way, we just have our last 2 bell housing bolts. We got 2 bell housing bolts. Now those are normally pretty hard to get to, but in this case, we have the body lift. So I'm gonna go ahead and get some extensions, and this is gonna be easy. Fingers crossed on that one. I think it's out, it's just not falling out. Probably just reach my hand up in there. Another one bites the dust. Last one. All right, I'm just gonna come in here and throw a strap around this thing, making sure I don't damage anything. And I just realized I'm an idiot. I need to spin this around. Oh, can I? Can I not spin this? Well, that's a bummer. Final step is the transmission mount. Now we just have the cross member. Guys, I think there's more bell housing bolts. I already took out a ton of these things. It's the last bolt that I have attaching the transmission to the engine. Well, that, folks, is a W56 transmission. Small little guy. All right, I got the transmission out of the truck. This transmission was super easy to remove. There really wasn't much to it. So I'm going to take this thing out, gonna get it pressure washed. Then we're gonna put this thing on the bench. We're gonna take this whole thing apart and assemble it with the rebuilt transmission in there. And then it'll be time to get this thing back in the truck. And all of that is gonna be another episode because we got things to do to this truck right now. All right, got the transmission loaded up. It's not moving. Let's go take this thing over, get pressure washed. There we go. Pretty clean. A lot cleaner than it was. Make it a lot easier to handle. Let's go take it back inside. Oh, that thing's a lot heavier. All right, the transmission is out and looking pretty clean. Now we just got to go back underneath the truck and go ahead and, well, take off the clutch. All right, so you can see the clutch right there. We're gonna go ahead and take that clutch off and see what we're working with as far as actual clutch material goes. Yeah, so let's pop this thing off of here. You can definitely feel a groove right there. That thing's been wearing for a while. So I will just go ahead and take this off too. Oh, there we go. Pressure plate is off. Since everything's already out of here, we may as well go ahead and check out the rear main. See if there's any leaks or anything going on. And looking back here, the rear main is actually very clean. It's not leaking any oil. But up here by the valve cover's leaking down a little bit, so there's a little oil in the back of the motor. Overall though, this looks really good. All right, so we got our clutch assembly here, and I'll show you a few points on whether we should replace this or not. So coming over here to the fingers, there's some marks over here. This is pretty normal, but these are actually worn down some. Flip this guy over, and this guy right here, it's pretty smooth, but you know, there's some roughness to it. This actually looks like it's been replaced at some point because the grooves over here certainly do not match. So I'd say this has probably been replaced at least once. This is probably original. But the most important thing is the clutch discs. So you can see that we still got some life left in this clutch, but not much. I mean, there's barely any room here before this actually flattens out into pretty much nothing. So I'd say that that clutch needs to be replaced, should be replaced. Not to say that I couldn't throw it back in there and have it work, but it's just better since we're doing the transmission right now to go ahead and replace the clutch. And going back to this guy, you can definitely see that there is some grooving in here. So, nothing crazy, just a little bit of grooving. So we should see about either potentially getting this resurfaced, if they do that, or just replacing this guy. So we'll add another couple $100 to the budget to go ahead and get that replaced for the new transmission. Now for other parts that we need to buy, the four-wheel drive shifter, that should be fine, nothing there. Maybe we'll replace the boot, probably should. So we'll go ahead and say that we need a boot. And then for this one, we definitely need a boot. This is our actual shifter for the transmission, goes right here. This guy needs a new boot, and that bushing right there, I'm gonna look at replacing and see what we can do for this entire assembly to get this thing fixed up, because there's some springs in there and it looks like it comes apart, so I want to make sure that's good to go. And on the inside here, I'm just going to go ahead and replace the throwout bearing, get ourselves a new one, because why not have a new throwout bearing when we're throwing in a new transmission? That's the Toyota tax right there, guys. I'm paying it so one of you guys doesn't have to. Anyways, guys, that's it for this video. In the next video, we're gonna be taking the tires and wheels off, and we're gonna get in there and do our ARB Old Man Emu suspension. So until next week, happy camping, guys.